Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub for the next episode in the My Team series. Now today, it's my turn. I'm not joined by any guest, no FPL expert, just me. So why listen to me? Why have a look at my current draft? Well, I do have a couple of top 5k finishes in the last few years, including one finish just outside the top 1k. So I know a little bit. I'm not claiming to be as well versed as some other esteemed guests that I chat to regularly on the channel, but hey, it's up to you. If you want to listen to me, here we go. This is my current draft for the upcoming fantasy season. Okay, so as always, we're going to be building this live on the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool. If you guys want to get involved and do this yourself, the link to do so is down below, completely for free. Put in your players position by position like I'm about to do, and then at the end, you will get a team rating and game week rating and see how you compare to me and other people that we've had on the channel. Right, without further ado, let's get into it. The goalkeepers. Starting with a man called Flecken. Now, it's an interesting pick, I think personally, because we don't know if he's going to start the season or not. A lot depends on David Raya, but he is the backup keeper right now at Brentford. If Raya goes, they could sign somebody else, but they've got decent opening fixtures. We know that Brentford have a good defence. They performed very well last season. Raya was excellent last season, of course. And as you can see, the predicted points over the first 4-6 games are actually really good. Some good home fixtures in there where you could expect some hauls. Who knows? To partner him, I've gone with a 4 million keeper, Areola. Now, I don't necessarily know if he's going to play. Fabianski's still at West Ham, of course, as you can see by the predicted points here. It's not looking great. However, there's a chance he comes in. And the main thing here is I just don't want to spend more than 8.5 million in goal, or at least I don't want to have rotating goalkeepers. Rotating keepers have never done well for me historically. I just cannot pick. I always seem to pick the wrong one. And sometimes you look at the likes of a Flecken, game week 1, Spurs at home, you probably wouldn't elect to play him in that game. There are other goalkeepers that have better game week 1 fixtures. But would you be shocked if they keep a clean sheet and therefore Flecken makes a few saves, above 3 saves and gets in the bonus as well, getting 8, 9, 10 points? I wouldn't be. And yeah, as I say, historically, I've been very bad at choosing which goalkeeper to play when I have rotating keepers. So this way, it's out of my hands. Okay then, moving on to the defense. Now, a player that is just 100% locked in my team, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't really care what price he is. I like the price. It makes you think a little bit, but for me personally, in that new role, in midfield, he just looks phenomenal. Back end of last season, scoring so many points, getting involved in attacks, as he used to, but from a different position now, kind of in that half space. Yeah, just looks too good. I think with a player like Trent, you have to treat him as a midfielder who has the benefit of getting those clean sheets. We expect Liverpool to tighten up a little bit. Obviously, rejigging their midfield could help. But overall, even if he doesn't get clean sheets, if he scores a goal, if he gets an assist, he's going to be in the bonus as always. If anything, I think these predicted points are pretty low. I expect Liverpool to start well. And yeah, Trent is absolutely nailed in my team. Right, the next defender is a player that I personally love. I just think he's brilliant. I've had great memories with him in my fantasy team last year. It is, of course, Pervis Estupiñán. He's in a lot of people's teams for great reason. He just flies forward. I mean, let's have a look at some of his stats from the end of last season. Let's go for the last 9 game weeks. This is all completely free to use, by the way, on Fantasy Football Hub. As you can see, a goal, 2 assists, 42 points, pretty decent. The XG numbers support the fact that he was just playing really well. A lot of big chances created. And yeah, with those fixtures, I think there's a lot of haul potential there. We saw him do it against Arsenal with a goal, and I think it was an assist. Might even have been 2 assists. I don't remember. Let me know in the comments down below. But opening fixtures really good. Luton at home just screams haul potential there. Wolves away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. Very good. Remember, if it goes wrong, we have the wild card. I think the upside is really there with Estupiñán, and I'm expecting Brighton to kick on this season. Honestly, they're signing some good players. I know they're letting some go, and their midfield is going to change, but they do this every year. They lose their best players and they somehow improve. With De Zerbi at the helm, I think Estupiñán could fly early season. Right, next up is the last of my starting defenders, playing 3 at the back. And yeah, as you've seen maybe with other videos on the channel, some other FPL experts saying that Gabriel is just underpriced this season. As you can see by the stats last year, right, 3 goals, but the XG was 3.4. He's an absolute menace from set pieces. And if you look at these predicted points, the fixtures, I think, are really good. Forest at home, Fulham at home, I'm particularly looking at those home fixtures early season. For the second best defence in the league, the second best team in the league last season, I don't see why he wouldn't be in a lot of teams. The fact that his ownership right now is only 17% is kind of crazy to me. Obviously, there are the likes of Shaw, Stones, a lot of people still perhaps going for Trippier, who I think is overpriced. But for Gabriel, in that Arsenal team, I think he is nailed, by the way. I know Timber's come in, but start of the season especially, I think he's absolutely nailed. With that goal potential, yeah, right now, he's pretty much nailed in my team. Okay, now that is going to do it for the starting defenders, as I said. But I think that a lot of you are going to have your own opinions about my bench. Now, I've gone for this man Bayer and Bulldog. So as you can see, really budget. I'm putting a lot of my cash in this team just straight into the first 11. Now, I hope that both these players do start. And to be honest with you, I haven't exactly selected which 4 million defenders I'm going to go with. You know, Bell is there as well. There are a couple of others who could play a lot of minutes this season. But this is risky, I will say. When you have the likes of a Botman at 4.5, Mings at 4.5 as really, really good, potentially underpriced players in that price range, you could say it's a little bit risky to just go with a 4 million player and really not have much of a bench. But yeah, that is the risk I'm taking with this team, putting a lot of money into the starting 11, and that could, you know, that could go downhill. Could be the wrong play, but I think at the start of the season, when you have that wild card in your back pocket, there is scope to go a little bit more risky. Who knows? It may not work out, but I feel like having that 0.5 in the first 11, we'll see the players that I have in midfield. That's kind of where the money's been spent. May well be worth it. So let's move on. Starting with the most expensive of my midfielders is Marcus Rashford. I don't really think I need to say too much about him. The only thing that's interesting with him is whether you go for him or Bruno. And the fact of the matter is, because I've gone with this cheap bench, it's allowed me to go with both of them. And I think that is pretty much the main reason why I'm doing this. If, say, I went for a Botman instead of one of these 4 million defenders, I really couldn't do this. I mean, I have to limit myself a lot in other areas of the team. But probably the full guy would be one of these two guys. It could be either of them down to someone like a Foden, which, you know, it could end up doing anyway if Foden looks nailed. But Foden isn't in this team, and Rashford and Bruno are. Just look at that. Wolves at home, Spurs away, new manager, and Forest at home. 3 of the best opening fixtures I think you can possibly get. We don't know what's going on with Tottenham at the moment. Historically, United have done very well at Tottenham, so who knows? We could see some holes there, but having these two in the team looks to be improving. And Bruno in particular is a player that I really enjoyed watching last season, you know, especially at the back end. And he just massively underperformed his numbers. If you look at the total points for the last 9 or so game weeks, 53 points, but his expected points was up at 72.5. That is a price I think that's just too cheap. I think there's massive value there. Rashford as well, I mean, he was converting his points, but even him, if you look at his expected points compared to his points at the end of the season, there's a massive, massive difference. And I think that may be one of the reasons why these guys' prices aren't as high as they perhaps could have been. Early season, yeah, a lot of value there. Okay, moving on to a couple of £6.5 million players now. Starting with Mbermo. Now, this man is in a lot of teams for good reason. With Tony out, he's going to be playing through the middle. Rumours of Brennan Johnson signing, but I think his minutes are pretty secured. And as we saw last season, without Tony, he really seemed to step up. Let's have a look at some stats. Last 5 game weeks or so, 33 points, 3 goals, 2 assists in 5 game weeks. Pretty good, right? If a player coming in at 6.5 million in midfield as well, remember, even though he's going to be playing out of position up top most likely, is getting you 6.6 points per game, that's brilliant. And there's no reason I don't see as to why he can't kick on. If you look at these fixtures, look at the green there. It's telling. Some of the best opening fixtures across the entirety of the league. And for me, yeah, there are a lot of options in midfield, but Mbermo looks pretty nailed in my team. Next up, a Brighton midfielder. As I've already mentioned with the Estupinian, I really like the opening fixtures, and I think it's just completely up to you who you want to go with as a Brighton midfielder. I would just say that I love watching Matoma play, score some unbelievable goals. I think he is probably the most talented in that team now, and I want him in my team. It was a joy to watch last season. Again, look at the predicted points. Green across the board. I don't see why he can't improve. There was a little bit of a discussion as to whether or not they would cash in on Matoma this season, but I think as a club, Brighton have decided to give him 1 year. He seems pretty set on that to really even go again and improve on his numbers last year. Yeah, just kind of a revelation last year. And for me, again, with his opening fixtures, he is definitely going to be in my team. I think the likes of March and Gross are also good options. I just prefer Matoma as a player, so that's my logic. Now, the last midfielder is going to be an Arsenal player. That probably won't shock a lot of you. What will shock a lot of you is the fact that I'm going for the most popular one, Saka. I could try and be different. I could go with Odegaard, who I think is overpriced. Could go with Martinelli, who I think is just a little bit more of a risk. There's a player for the second best team in the league last season who's a midfielder on penalties, and it's just a great player at 8.5 million. It's just like, you don't need to overcomplicate things. There's a reason why his ownership is over 50%. The fixtures, as we've already mentioned with Gabriel, are excellent. There's just goals there. There's just goals. I know Odegaard got more points last season. I know Odegaard's minutes are a little bit more secure. He tends to stay on the pitch for longer than Saka, but for me, it's not really much of a question. Now, if Odegaard was priced at 8 or 7.5, definitely, that would be more of a discussion. But early season, I see no reason as to why I should go against the grain. One of the main things that I always try and do at the start of seasons is ensure that I don't get left too far behind. You can lose it early in FPL, but you can't win it. So for that reason, I do tend to stick quite template. As you can see, the only real risk in this team so far is going with these 4 million defenders. But yeah, I do that for a reason. It tends to work. I don't see why I'd change. That is the midfield. Pretty strong if you ask me. A lot of other options there. The likes of Maddison, the likes of Son. As I mentioned, no City coverage so far in this team at all. The best team in the league. Who knows if that's a bit too risky, but yeah, I like the team so far. Okay, now moving on to the forwards. Don't need to even talk about this man. Haaland's in. He's going to be the captain for the majority of the first few gamings. I don't really see why that wouldn't be the case. He is the only premium player in this team. Of course, no Salah and also no Kane. Can't afford him. Obviously, he'd be in my team if budget was no option, but because we have a player in Haaland who just will probably be the nailed captain for, I mean, honestly, form dependent, of course, and injury dependent, all of these games, there's no reason to have another premium player. It's just a fact. It's kind of a shame, perhaps, because it is going to be a 14-player game, I think, for the majority of the season, or at least the start. At least the start. Things change, of course. But look, 86% owned. He's going up every day. He was 85.5 the day. Yeah, I can't really argue against it. He's nailed in my team. Okay, now we move on to the last starting player in this team. It is an £8 million forward. I actually think that this slot is really, really quite a fun one. I think there's scope to go with whoever you want. I've seen a lot of people going with the likes of Watkins. There's a little bit of interest in Nkunku. The starting Liverpool striker could be really interesting. Say if Gakpo or Darman was to pick up an injury, the other one there would be great value at 7.5. But for me, Gabby Jesus comes in. Started the season really well last year. And again, as I've mentioned a number of times now, look at the fixtures. For an Arsenal attacker, I see no reason not to double up. Look at this green across the board. I can't not go with him. Now look, he does miss a lot of big chances. I'm actually quite interested to see what his stats are here across the season. So he had 6 big chances created. Pretty good for a striker, to be honest. He does create a lot. His XA numbers are pretty good for a forward. But yeah, 27 big chances, 11 goals. It's not the best. He was injured, obviously, for a bit of the season. But he started really well, if you remember last season. I don't see why he can't again. Once again, unbelievable fixtures. And the great thing about Jesus at this price, and the thing that I like about Watkins as well, is there's no one else at all, really, apart from Kane, at a price above him that you'd want to go to. I mean, there literally isn't anyone else. So for that reason, if Jesus doesn't start well and the likes of an Nkunku or perhaps a Gakpo establishes himself in the team and looks like a great pick, it's an easy move down. You know, we say a lot at the start of the season that 0.1 million price changes are in effect 0.5 because of the way that the prices work at the start of the season. So if Jesus isn't looking good and one of these players perhaps rises to 7.6, it means that you can go down to them and there's no drama. And yeah, price points, although they are a bit boring to talk about, they are very important at the start of the season. And Jesus is not just a great player, he's also at a great price. So I think I'm going to be starting with him. Okay then, now for our final player. As you can see, only got 4.5 left in the bank. As I said already, this is going to be a very, very tight team. Any injuries, any suspensions, things like that, I'm going to be in trouble. The thing with Bulldog and Bear is their fixtures aren't actually too bad. If I had to play one of them, yeah, I'd be expecting 2 points, probably. I mean, 1 point, really. There's a lot. It is a risky strategy. However, I'm just looking at the rest of the team and I'm thinking, do I really want to lose Bruno? That's what I'd have to do, probably. And I'm not entirely sure. Now, this 4.5 slot, it really could be anyone. Predicted points on the site has McAtee, I believe, at the highest. I think perhaps he has a small chance of coming on as a sub, but really there's no one in that 4.5 bracket that could do well. Balogun, if he gets a move, of course, but I don't really expect that to happen. He could well get a move, but I don't expect him to go to another Premier League club. I think he may well go abroad once again. He had such success last year in Ligue 1. But yeah, McAtee will be in there. That's it. No real need to think too much about the 4.5 slot at this time in pre-season. Okay then, so that is the team. Let's have a look at the team rating. Now, as you guys may have seen across other episodes, team ratings have been quite high from our guests so far. This is episode 3, and we've had FPL Salah and FPL Heisenberg on. Two people that know what they're doing, have a very, very good career history in Fantasy Premier League. So I am hopeful, with cautious optimism, that I may be able to get amongst those numbers in the 90%, both of them. Click optimize down below, and here it is, the reveal. 99% team rating. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. That propels me to number 1 in the league table. And you're going to have to be nigh on perfect to beat that. I'm chuffed. What can I say? Maybe I do know a thing or two, guys. Maybe I do. Now, this is a good team rating, obviously. But once again, I just want to reiterate, it's very risky and it's reliant on no injuries and suspensions or just, lack of form, which in reality, that's going to happen. You have transfers, but yeah, it is risky, but I'm going for it. Why not? Let's have a little bit of fun. Now, obviously, guys, there's only a little bit of improvement statistically and according to Fantasy Football Hub's AI that you can make to this team. But if you back yourself and you want to have a go and try and get 100% team rating, have a look in the description down below. Once again, it's completely for free. You can get your team completely rated. Have a look at all this stuff, all the stats. Really good. All in one place. Looks phenomenal. And yeah, you can have a little play around and see how your team comes out. Now, if you want to go a little bit further and get a little bit more detail, there is a few things that you can do if you sign up to the site that I think are absolutely phenomenal. Now, the brilliant thing about signing up right now to the site is that you get 50% off if you do so in pre-season. And also, if you sign up to Fantasy Football Hub at any tier level and you do not win your mini league this season, you will get a full refund. No matter what tier level you're at, if you don't win your mini league this season, then you get all your money back. It's a crazy offer. Again, as I've mentioned before, I don't really understand it. But hey, I'm not the finance guy, So there we go. The guys want to do it. I would just say take advantage of it. Link to that is down below as well. Now, one of the things that you get if you sign up is recommended transfers. I'm going to run my team through the AI now and see what it spits out to maybe take my team rating to 100%. Okay, so here we go. This is what the AI is suggesting I do to improve my team. Flecken firstly goes for Steele. Now, obviously two goalkeepers at the same price. Steele, I suppose, then has slightly more expected points, which, I'd agree with. The only thing with that is that would be doubling up on 2 Brighton defenders with Estupiñán already in there. And it would mean locking myself into those 3 Brighton players. We saw last season that was just something that you didn't really want to do. It was very hard to move around from Brighton player to Brighton player. So I'm not entirely sure if I want to do that early season. However, yeah, Steele is definitely a great option and I'd expect him to do well at the start of the season. This one definitely makes sense. Now for one that I don't think makes as much sense. Ake in for Gabriel. I think expected minutes here just wins. I think Gabriel is completely nailed. I don't think Ake is completely nailed. Ake, no doubt, is in Pep's strongest 11. We saw him just dominate the Champions League last season. However, come the start of the season, there is no reason as to why Pep couldn't rotate things. It's something that he historically tends to do. Start of the season, he kind of says to the players, okay, chill out a bit. He uses it as a little bit of a rest period and rotation will happen. I don't think Ake's nailed. Obviously, the best defense, the best team in the league, but for me, I'm happy to go with Gabriel. Yeah, probably similar goal threat as well, but Gabriel is the one that I'd go for, despite Ake being predicted a few more points. And one transfer which I just definitely won't be doing is this one. Again, Odegaard has higher expected minutes, and he got more points last season, but Saka's on penalties. So I'm not going to do it. In fact, I'm going to click don't sell, as I'm pretty sure that Saka is going to be in my team. I'm then going to click recommend new transfer. It's a really good little thing you can do if you just don't agree with the AI. You can just say, you know what, I want to see some other options. And then there we go. So for now, Saka stays. Instead, Zinchenko comes into the equation, and Estupiñán is sold as well for Ake. I will say it's half the AI, isn't it? I've got a team rating of 99%. It's quite hard to improve on that. But there we go. That is it. I probably won't do any of these, but the options are there, and they will be there throughout the season. So then, guys, that is going to do it for this one. That is my initial draft, my current draft for the upcoming season. Let me know your thoughts, especially on going with such a shoestring bench. I'm really unsure on it. Right now, I'm feeling confident. I'm like, yep, let's do it. The first 11 looks so good. I think a lot depends on Foden's form, to be honest. If he looks nailed, I could potentially see myself dropping a midfielder down to him to enable a stronger squad overall, a stronger 15. But yeah, interested to hear your thoughts. Once again, guys, if you want to try any of this out yourself and take advantage of the amazing preseason offers, then yeah, the link to do so is down below in the description. Try and beat my team rating of 99%. Good luck is all I'll say, and I'll see you on the next one.